journey because it's within. But for that very cause, it's the most arduous of journeys. I travel the road into my soul all the time. I dwell in possibility, a fairer house than prose, more numerous of windows, superior for doors, of chambers as the cedars, impregnable of eye, and for an everlasting roof, the gables of the sky, of visitors the fairest, for occupation this, the spreading wide in my narrow hands to gather paradise. Nature's the highest art, don't you think? Why, just to see the summer sky is poetry. Summer.
Dear, dear, how queer everything is today. And yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if I've been changed during the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I can almost remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, then the next question is, who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle. I'm sure I can't be Ada, for her hair goes in such ringlets and mine doesn't go in ringlets at all. And I'm sure I can't be Mabel, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows such a very little. Besides, she's she, and I'm I, and oh, how puzzling it all is. I shall try if I know all the things I used to know. Let me think. 4 times 5 is 12, and 4 times 6 is 13, and 4 times 7 is... oh dear. I shall never get to 20 at that rate. Besides, the multiplication table doesn't signify. Let's get geography. London is the capital of Paris, and Paris is the capital of Rome. No, that's wrong, I'm certain. I must be changed into Mabel. I must be Mabel, and I shall have to live in this poky little house and have next to no toys to play with and, oh, ever so many lessons to learn. No, I've made up my mind about it. If I'm Mabel, I'll stay down here. It'll be no use their putting their heads down and saying, "Come up again, dear." I shall only say to them, "Who am I then? Tell me who I am. And if I like being that person, I'll come up. If not, I'll stay down here till I'm somebody else."
You misbegotten horse! You think yourself a fiery steed? You try to race the wind and dare the birds to catch you? Crazy beast, where have you bolted off to? Leaving me alone on these bare rocks? Well, I can't search for you. I'll have to leave you here. You hear? And if the wild beast eats you, don't blame me. You have it coming. Where's the path? Nowhere? My only path is the one that destiny lays out before me. This forbidding rock scowls the sun, and I must grope my way with tear-washed eyes half blind with their despair. So, this is Poland, and unfriendly land. You greet me with misfortune? What a welcome. But when I feel the load of grief I've dragged behind me as I've traveled, it's no matter I've come this far. weekend now. Wow. Unhappy people never get a break.
Well, it's funny. On the one hand, I believe my future's bright as a button and nothing stands in my way. But sometimes, when I'm home, a little devil gets next to me and says, "You fly mighty high in your mind's eye, honey. But if you ever look 2 inches beyond your nose, you'll see that your life was signed, sealed, and delivered before you were even born. And it's got nothing to do with love or careers or flights of fancy." In one way or another, my whole family is just waiting it out. They talk about what they're gonna do or what they should have done, but they're just sitting there waiting for the axe to fall. And I must say, when I walk those streets in the dead of August and the trees are dry as paper and the grass is burnt up crisp and the sun's so hot and the air's so thick that they shut out all the sounds, and I go to my grandmother's and see her moving from room to room, doing a little dab here and a little dab there, waiting for night to come so she can sit on that porch and do something that's nothing. I think there's no comfort on this porch. There's no life in this town. There's no hope in this world. And God has long since passed away. Fall in line. Fall in line. In 100 years, who will know the difference? Follow the path of least resistance, act out your part, and die. But I say no. I'm not gonna sit around waiting for what I dread most to happen to me. I'm not gonna be one more ribbon on the maypole. I'm cutting loose. So last week, when I got home from college, before I could even give myself time to think, I cashed in my $100 worth of savings bonds I'd received over the years as prize money, packed up Miss Amelia Earhart and hightailed it down to the Trailways bus station and took off. So here I am, footloose and ready to tackle anything. I got money, an apartment, and I'm free.
When it's day, there's something about the windows on a bus. You don't notice it at first, but after a while, like 4-5 hours after you've been staring through them, they start to bend, to sort of warp at the edges. You pass by a field. Out of the corner of your eye, you see a farmhouse come up. You know, it's closer and closer, picks up speed, but just before you think it's about to blur on by, it slows down, like it's hit water and, bends across the window. The glass warps and stretches the image, magnifies it for the briefest suspended second, and then releases it. There's something hypnotizing about it. It's hard to pull your eyes away when something comes swimming past. It doesn't matter if the window's dirty, either, if it's got road dust or mosquito guts on it. Bending still happens. Well, at least it always happens when I'm looking. But when it's night, there's nothing. Just my black eyes and mouth. You can't see those little farmhouses, those little lives. but I know they're there, just warping on by. I feel them pass. If they would just leave the light on for me, then I'd see them. Oh, 20 more miles. 20 more miles. 20 more miles.
We don't make art. Art makes itself through us, but we have to be open to let the muse in. I mean, the state of being where it's not just us doing it. Time passes and you don't notice. It's like you're in a trance. You come out and you feel like you were just led on by forces beyond you and just touched God. It doesn't happen all the time. For some, almost never. But it's the reason to make something. It's the dirty secret of why people are really artists. It's the chance you get to commune, that high you get from creation when you're with the muse or God or whatever you want to call it. And you come out of it and you're like, how did I do that? Couldn't have been me, it must have been someone else. I think athletes know about it too. Scientists, mathematicians, they know what it is to get in the zone. It's just that for me, the way to that is through painting or sculpting. But the muse won't come if you're thinking about your critics. That's why Fred doesn't read reviews. I'm addicted to making art with my muse. If only you could access that all the time. But you can't, or at least I can't. But that's the flaw of criticism.
I want somebody to love me. Better than anybody else in the world. Just the way I love him. Want him to protect me and comfort me and take my side. And I want him to keep it up. And when we're old and ready to die, he'll say, "Baby, darling, I love you." And I'll say, "I love you." And we'll both know exactly what we're talking about. Because we both feel exactly the same way as we did the very first time you took hold of my hand. Love gives you something to say, and a career gives you somewhere to say it. So with the two of them, you're never at a loss for what to do next. That's what heaven's like. Never at a loss for what to do next. Only heaven lasts forever, with God and a broader outlook thrown in. I can't stand things to stop. The chief drawback in life is that it stops. But we've always got heaven to fall back on.
Good Lord! Your mind is in such a low estate that you are telling me you choose this fate? In household's prison, asking to be locked with spouse and screaming babies? Well, I am shocked, my dear. You must give up this foolish goal. Through knowledge you will elevate your soul, and leave the burdens of domestic life to other women who enjoy the strife. When one gets married, intellectual pursuits are simply ineffectual. How can one think when all one's time is spent in housework and domestic management? Please! Set your mind at high consideration, and think a bit of mother's liberation. The eyes of learned men are fast upon her, and not with lust, but deference and honor. I'd sing your praise at learned far and wide before I'd stoop to sing Here Comes the Bride. Oh, Henriette, it's truly rapturous to study differential calculus. It's hard at first, but what a satisfaction! The first time you make sense of such abstraction. Read Carl Sagan on astronomy, Boyle's Elements in Greek philosophy, Jacques Derrida on deconstruction. Thrilling! Such studies are rewarding and fulfilling. The wealth of knowledge is what should inspire you, and not some man who thinks he might desire you and make you slave to laws devised by men. Philosophy must be your husband, then. Its very nature serves to elevate our souls to heights at which we may create environs where our lust could have no sway, where carnal passions can be kept at bay. Thus thoughts of pleasure have no ill effects, and one can turn one's back on sex.
Sweet sister, from our Lord we've been ordained with different functions. What is to be gained for being something I'm not meant to be? If you want to espouse philosophy, the heights of worthy learned speculation, go for it. I prefer domestication. Let's not disturb what heaven has arranged. I do not want my instincts to be changed. I'm happy for you in your worldly flight to great philosophy's stupendous heights. But flying, to me, is one of those things for which God would endow us all with wings if we were meant to fly. So leave me here in earthly bliss and pure domestic cheer, to follow mother in her lesser role, but one which helps to elevate her soul. If mother's who you wish to imitate, then let both aspects serve us to create the model. And my sister, think on this. We'd not be here if not for wedded bliss. The basest part of marriage, as you say, are what gave us all the light of day. And I, for one, applaud the time she chose a moment to forget Kant and Spinoza. Accept with grace the marriage that I want, and maybe I'll produce a new savant.
I love to swing in my front yard. Aunt Gert has a swing in the front yard too, but it's not the same. Mom and I used to come out here and swing together. Some nights when Daddy was out gambling. I used to wake up and hear her out here swinging away. Sometimes she'd come let me sit beside her, and we'd swing until 3 or 4 in the morning. The pear tree looks sickly, doesn't it? The fig trees are doing nicely though. I was out back and the weeds are knee-high. The fig trees just seem to thrive in the weeds. The freeze must have killed off the banana trees. Maybe I won't leave either. Maybe I won't go to Hollywood after all. Maybe I shouldn't. That just comes to me now. You know, my old house looks so lonesome sometimes. It just tears at my heart. I used to think it looked lonesome whenever it had no tenants. But it comes to me that it's looked lonesome ever since Mama died and we moved away. And it'll be lonesome until some of us move back here. Of course, Mama can't and Daddy won't, so it's up to me. I talk big about living here by myself, but I'm too much of a coward to do that. But maybe I'll finish up school and keep living with Aunt Gert, keep on renting out the house until I meet a nice boy with good habits and steady ways and marry him. And we'll move here and have children. And I bet this old house won't be so lonely anymore. I'll get Mama's little croquet set and I'll put it out under the pecan trees and play croquet with my children. Or I'll sit here and swing and wave to the people as they pass by. Maybe I was going to Hollywood out of pure lonesomeness. I felt so alone with Miss Layton getting Daddy and my mama having left the world. Daddy could have taken away my lonesomeness, but he couldn't or didn't want to. But Aunt Gert says that nobody's lonesome with a house full of children. So maybe that's just why I ought to stay here and have.
It takes courage to change yourself. It takes courage to reach out to someone, to admit that you can't do it by yourself. It takes courage to change. Change the way you looked at yourself. Change the way you react to situations. Change the way you view life itself. Change the way you look at yourself. Recognize that you are a good person. Recognize that you have needs too. Recognize that you have feelings and that you hurt. Change the way you react to situations. Look at the other person's side, not just yours. Look at the whole picture. Know that it is not all as it seems.
Dauphin, I am by birth a shepherd's daughter, my wit untrained in any kind of art. Heaven and Our Lady gracious hath it pleased to shine on my contemptible estate. Lo, while I waited on my tender lambs, and to sun's parching heat displayed my cheeks, God's mother deigned to appear to me, and in a vision full of majesty, willed me to leave my base vocation and free my country from calamity. Her aid she promised and assured success. In complete glory she revealed herself, and whereas I was black and swart before, with those clear rays which she infused in me, that beauty am I blessed with which you see. Ask me what question thou canst possible, and I will answer unpremeditated. My courage try by combat, if thou darest, and thou shalt find that I exceed my sex. Resolve on this. Thou shalt be fortunate if thou receive me for thy warlike mate.
Oh my god, wait, no, I get it. I totally get it because like in olden times, like back in the Pilgrims and Pocahontas and whatever, like in the time of the Crucible, everybody was like all about being terrified of witches, right? Like if something bad happened to you, like your kid got the measles or your pumpkin crop died or whatever, you'd be like, oh crap, it's witches. So if you just didn't like somebody, like say they overcharged you for, I don't know, a bowl of acorn soup or something, you could just accuse them of being a witch. And then it was like, that was it. Boom. Witch busted. And since everybody in America was like basically a religious fascist, they thought the best way to test if you were a witch or not was to flaunt set you on fire. Because supposedly if you didn't burn, that meant you were a witch. Then I guess they were like, oh, guess she's a witch. Now what? But if you did burn, and this is where it gets all kinds of crazy waterboarding mentality, if you did burn, then they were like, oh, guess she was just a regular old human after all. Sorry, not sorry. And then it's like, of course they all burned because, P.S., there's no such thing as a witch, idiot. So yeah, congratulations or whatever. You just figured out who she really was. You also killed her.
Okay, once upon a time, there were two sisters, both of them stupid. One thought her feet was too big, and one thought her waist was too big. So, they went to the magician and said, "Make us perfect." And the magician held up a magic mirror that made the sisters look perfect. "Okay," the magician said, "you two can look just like this." And the sisters gave him a pile of gold, and the magician worked his magic and built a new tennis court with their money. But after a few years, the magic started to go bad, and the sisters went back to the magician. And he said, "Hey, I said I'd make you look perfect. I didn't say you'd be perfect forever. Check out the shingle. It says magician, not God." And the sisters were really pissed off. So what did they do? First, they took all the mirrors in the kingdom and smashed them and recycled the glass. Then they told all their girlfriends and daughters, "Next time you want to look in the mirror, don't go to the magicians. Come to us." And when the woman wanted to check out their thighs and noses and all their other problems, they had to look in the sisters' eyes. And the sisters would say, "Oh, give me a break, you look fine." At first, the woman didn't believe them, because who believes you when you tell them they look good, right? But the sisters kept saying, "You're beautiful." And eventually, the woman started to buy it. And the magicians were all doing such lousy jobs that they all had to move to Europe. It was like magic. Everybody got kissed, and the woman that felt like it got married, and the ones that didn't got good jobs in the kingdom, and some got both, and everyone lived a whole lot happier after.
Listen, my dear, you and I have known each other for a long time. A really long time, since you were a little girl, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, but I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Do you remember that thing that happened to you at the stroke of midnight? The thing that every girl in the world secretly dreads? Well, I'm afraid I have to drop you. See, it's not like I want to, but listen, sweetie, it's like this. I am the most popular fairy tale figure in the world. Always have been. I mean, sometimes the Wicked Witch becomes a temporary fad and takes over, but most of the time it's me. Me. Go here, go there, help this girl, help that girl. It's endless and it's exhausting. I have to draw the line at age 39. That rhymed. I love you like a daughter. I truly do. Which is why I have to do what any loving mother should do. I'm kicking you out of the nest, granting you adulthood. No, think of it as a promotion. Oh, Julie, I know you dream of yourself as Cinderella, but really, you are a perfectly capable 21st century woman with a weakness for fairy tales. You're a great girl with a kind heart and a nice mind. That's more important than a gown, a tiara, and cleavage. Well, I don't know. Cleavage is always... Anyways, all you have to do now is make better choices. I know it's tough being single, childless, and, a certain age, but try not to lose your dignity.
He told me to look at my hand, for part of it came from a star that exploded too long ago to imagine. This part of me was formed from a tongue of fire that screamed through the heavens until there was our sun. And this part of me, this tiny part of me, was on the sun when it itself exploded and whirled into a great storm until our planets came to be. And this small part of me was then a whisper of the earth. When there was life, perhaps this part of me got lost in a fern that was crushed and it was covered until it was coal. And then a diamond, millions of years later. It must have been a beautiful diamond, as beautiful as the star from which it had first come. Or this part of me got lost in a terrible beast, or became part of a huge bird that flew above the primeval swamps. And he told me that this thing was so small, that this part of me was so small it couldn't be seen. Yet it was there from the beginning of the world. And he called this part of me an atom. When he wrote the word, I fell in love with it. Atom. Atom. What a beautiful word.
So I graduate. I think. I didn't get my diploma because I owed the library $53 in late fees, but I'm pretty sure I graduated. And I come home, and the belly aching starts 5 minutes after I'm home. You'll never get a job. You aren't responsible. Who would want to hire you with that tattoo on your arm? You know, encouragement. Mom and Dad did everything but try to get me into rehab. Mom especially was being her usual dark self, but I fooled Mom and myself. The day after I got home, I got a call from a friend that this law firm needed filing clerks. I could handle it. I showed up in a clean dress. They hired me. I was working 3 days after I moved home. Okay, the money was embarrassing, but I had a job. I was correcting filings for this law firm that did really stupid stuff for rich people. They had rich clients who sued when their dishes were broken at a dinner party. But it was a job. Mom couldn't harass me because I had a job. And then 3 months later, it was Christmas, and I'd been there just long enough to qualify for a bonus. And there was a check for $406.30. It was so cool. I sat up till Mom came home from the night shift at the hospital and showed her the check. I said, "Look, Mom, here's my Christmas bonus." And there was this awful silence as she looked at the check. And I thought, oh, great. She's going to compare it to what my older brother makes at Con Ed. She's going to compare it to my sister, the 9X VP. Or she's going to compare it to her salary. She's a registered nurse at an ICU unit. She saves lives. She's got lots of training. And my mother makes sort of a snorting laugh sound she makes when she's going to kick me in the teeth emotionally. And she says, "You want to see my Christmas bonus?" What was I supposed to say? No? So Mom reaches into her purse and she pulls out a green pencil. It has Southside Hospital Center, the name of her hospital, stenciled on in yellow. And there's some slogan like "Patient care is primary care" or something. 25 years at the hospital, 5 days a week, and that's her bonus. And she laughed, sort of. She made this sad laughing noise, and she said, "Like it?" And I had to laugh too. And Mom knew her job was important. More important than me sorting papers for overpaid lawyers. She'd worked there 25 years and put her kid through school at this job. And even though it was important, it wasn't important enough for someone to pay her decently for doing it. And it wasn't important enough for them to give her a bonus for coming in all those nights and making sure sick people were still alive the next morning when the doctors checked in.
I read this article in Chic Chic that said you need to invest in your wardrobe and the woman you want to become, who you see yourself as in the future. The article had a top 10 list of all things women must certainly need if they are ever going to be anything in this life. The list included a little black dress, a trench coat, nude heels, a pop of color, a string of pearls, a high quality bra, a printed umbrella, a classy scarf, a perfect for you skin tone lipstick, an investment piece, a name brand handbag. As you can see, I have all these things on. I look amazing. And better, I'm off for a job interview. And since I maxed out all my credit cards to buy this outfit, and this is the 4th job interview I've had this week, and I only washed this LBD, that's little black dress in fancy talk, in the sink so many times, I better get this job. I mean, I'm not trying to panic here, but how much more overqualified can I be to get an internship at a bloody marketing firm? I went to the best college, I moved to the big city, I even joined a sorority just so I could talk about it in interviews, just in case. But oh no, I am mediocre, I am run-of-the-mill. There are a dozen girls with the same degree right on my nude heels trying to trip me. Caused me to fall and walk on my back to the victory lane of success. Doesn't an intern just grab coffee and make copies? I should be running Manhattan, for God's sakes. Did you know I was salutatorian of my high school class, then magna cum laude at my college? Played field hockey and swam freestyle relay. We medaled. In summer, instead of hooching it up in Cancun, I volunteered to teach children to read in Ghana. What more could they want from me? I will tell you what they want. They want my nails to be chip-free and my hair blown out, and my outfit to look like it's been dry cleaned, even if I can't hardly afford ramen noodles or my cell phone bill. The hypocrisy of it all!
My big sister has piles of beauty magazines in her bedroom. She hates for me to mess with her stuff, but whenever she's not around, I'd sneak in her room. I'd take out the neat pile she keeps by her bed, carefully, so she wouldn't even know I touched them. I'd flip through the shiny pages, breathe in the perfume scent, staring at all the faces of the models, memorizing the way they smiled or didn't, the way they pouted, the way they leaned casually against a car or a guy. I studied them and learned. Want to know what I learned? I learned they all look alike. They have the same shaped noses, eyes, even the shapes of their heads are the same. They're all the same height, the same weight, just like Barbie dolls. When they say it's Latina Barbie on the box, but it's really just white Barbie dipped in tanning color with brown eyes and hair. They change wigs, duh. That's like the girls in the magazines. They're all the same. After a while, I couldn't tell which magazines I look at and which ones I hadn't. See? They give you this recipe for how to be beautiful. Buy this, wear your hair this way, dress this way. But this is like the kind of recipe that you use with cookie cutters. So every cookie comes out exactly the same. No variety, no surprises. That's what I learned from beauty magazines. And me? I'm nobody's cookie. I'm no cookie. But I'll sell you some. How many cases do you want to buy? We don't just give up, throw it to the side and say surrender. We don't stop because we can't win. That is not why we play. We play to play. We play to feed our souls, to keep going. We play for the love of the game, not for the score. Look around you. This locker room is full of your sisters, your teammates, all of us. We all share one heartbeat.
And when one of us is out of whack, then we all go out of whack. And that is when we lose. Not because of what the scoreboard says, not because of what the officials are saying, but because we stopped trying. We play until we can't play anymore, and then we push just a little harder. People spend their entire lives searching for something that they can fight for. And we all found it. We all have it. So we're gonna fight. We are going to fight until our hearts burst. And then we're gonna go a little further because we love it. And anything you love, that is something worth fighting for.
Look, Peter, the sky. What a lovely day. Aren't the clouds beautiful? You know what I do when it seems as if I couldn't stand being cooped up for one more minute? I think myself out. I think myself on a walk in the park where I used to go with Pim, where the daffodils and the crocus and the violets all grow down the slopes. But you know the most wonderful thing about thinking yourself out? You can have it any way you like. You can have roses and violets and chrysanthemums all blooming at the same time. It's funny. I used to take it all for granted, and now I've gone crazy for all things having to do with nature. Haven't you? I wish you had a religion, Peter. I don't mean you have to be Orthodox or believe in heaven and hell and purgatory and things. Just some religion, it doesn't matter what. Just to believe in something. You know, when I think of all that's out there, the trees and flowers and seagulls, when I think of the dearness of you, Peter, and the goodness of the people we know, Mr. Kraler, Meep, Dirk, the vegetable man, all risking their lives for us every day. When I think of these things, I'm not afraid anymore. I find myself and God and we're not the only people that have had to suffer. There have always been people that have had to. Sometimes one race, sometimes another. And yet, I know it's hard trying to have faith when people are doing such horrible things. But you know what I sometimes think? I think the world may be going through a phase, the same way I was with Mother. It'll pass. Maybe not for hundreds of years, but someday. I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are really good at heart.
There is a place inside of me where 100 women live. It is full of light and anything but lonely. I keep Teddy Bear, and my mother, and my third grade teacher, Mrs. Rhodes, and my best friend, Christine, from 8th grade, and all the other women who have touched me somehow. There's so many. I close my eyes and I imagine them sitting together in interlocked circles, talking, holding each other, laughing. Inside me, they know one another. Perhaps some of them are the same. When I am alone, I laugh along with them, wrap my arms tight around myself, hugging myself, drawing them closer to me. It's only when the men invite themselves into the room, into the laughter, that the links of this woman chain, are weakened. The men call, and the women come. The circles break apart. I begin to feel like I'm coming apart, that my parts are loose and dangling. I hug myself even tighter and reimagine the women. There's at least 100 of me without them. I think Nina the scholar, Nina the poet, the student, the counselor, the lover. I wait for the strongest one of me to step forward to find the right words. Summon up the elusive courage to bring back the women I've somehow lost. And yet, despite my frantic attempts to call forth a philosopher, a diplomat, the encouraging friend, somehow it is always Nina the lover who wins out. She gives into the romance, releases the women to their princes and saviors. Her mother remarries, her school teacher moves away with her husband. Her best friend falls head over heels for a 9th grader. Nina the lover nods. Nina the lover knows. She lowers her head and she waits for her turn to come. And in the meantime, the women fall away from her one by one. What can I do but embrace her, this lover who lives inside my chest, and bid farewell to the ever 99 of me, who always retreat in silence.
Do you know that every one of you, to me, is a poem? You, and you, each one a rare creation. I suppose that's why I love you and you love me, whether we realize it or not. I discovered the secret a long time ago, about the souls of people. And I thought that being a poem oneself precluded the writing of poems. But I saw my mistake. The poet lights the lamp and then goes out himself. But the light goes on and on. Essences are marked for, no, that's not the best word. Labeled, that's better. Essences are labeled for immortality. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain.
I'm coming home with a stone strapped onto my back. I'm coming home with a burning hope, turning all my blues to black. I'm looking for a sacred hand carved into my stone, a ghost of comfort's angel's breath to keep this life inside my chest. This world falls on me, hopes of immortality. Everywhere I turn, all the beauty just keeps shaking me. Now I woke up in the middle of a dream, scared the world was too much for me. Tajara said, don't let go, just plant the seeds and watch them grow. I've